The world had kept spinning for 10 years, but for Jake, it often felt stuck. Stuck on that Tuesday when he held his wife Anna's hand for the last time. The calendar pages had turned, seasons had shifted from the crisp golds of autumn to the stark whites of winter and back again, yet a part of him remained in that quiet hospital room. He lived in the house they had built together, a museum of memories where every object whispered her name. The coffee mug she used every morning still sat on the shelf, untouched. Her favorite armchair by the window still held the faint impression of where she used to sit, reading for hours as sunlight streamed in. Life had become a series of motions, a routine devoid of the color she had brought into it. He went to work. He came home. He ate his meals in silence, the echo of her laughter a ghost in the empty rooms. His friends, with the best of intentions, had tried to pull him back into the world of the living. "It's time, Jake," they would say gently over a beer he barely touched. "Anna would want you to be happy." He knew they were right, of course. He was a ship, anchored in a harbor of grief, watching other vessels sail out to sea while his own sails remained furled and collecting dust. The loneliness was a physical presence, a heavy blanket he couldn't shake off. Mornings were the hardest. He would wake up and for a fleeting, beautiful second forget she was gone. He'd roll over to tell her about a dream, his lips forming her name, only to be met with the cold, empty space beside him. The realization would crash down on him all over again, a daily wave of sorrow that left him breathless. The day it arrived was unremarkable, a Thursday just like any other. Jake went through his usual routine: coffee, a quick glance at the morning news, the short walk down the driveway to the mailbox. He expected the usual assortment of bills, junk mail, perhaps a catalog or two. But then he saw it, thick, elegant paper, his name and address written in a familiar, looping cursive. His heart gave a sudden, painful jolt. He knew that handwriting. He would know it anywhere. It was Anna's. For a moment his logical mind refused to accept it. Impossible, a mistake, a cruel prank perhaps. The postmark was smudged but recent, dated just the day before. How could this be? Anna had been gone for 10 years. He felt a dizzying mix of emotions. Confusion, fear, a fragile, terrifying flicker of hope. He stood by the road, the other mail forgotten, slipping from his grasp and scattering at his feet. The world around him seemed to fade away. Slowly, almost in a trance, he walked back to the house, the letter clutched like a fragile artifact. He sank into her favorite armchair and stared at the envelope. His mind raced for a rational explanation. Had she written it before she died and given it to someone to mail? A lawyer? A friend she had sworn to secrecy? He was afraid to open it. What if the words were too painful? What if they shattered the fragile peace he'd built? But he was more afraid not to. This was a gift, a final message from the love of his life. His hands trembled as he slid his finger under the flap. He took a deep breath and unfolded the single sheet inside. The paper was crisp in his hands. He unfolded it slowly, as if any sudden movement might cause the words to vanish. The faint, unmistakable scent of her perfume rose from the page. For the first time in 10 years, Jake let the tears fall freely. The letter began simply, with the two words that had once been the beginning and end of his everyday. "My dearest Jake." Reading her handwriting was like hearing her voice, a soft and gentle melody he thought he had lost forever. The ink was a deep blue, the letters formed with the same care and precision she applied to everything in her life. He could picture her sitting at their old oak desk, her brow furrowed in concentration, a small smile playing on her lips as she chose her words. The memory was so vivid it was painful, a beautiful ghost materializing in the quiet afternoon light. As he began to read, the 10 years of silence melted away. She wrote about her love for him, not in grand, poetic declarations, but in the small, intimate details that had defined their life together. She reminded him of the rainy afternoon they spent building a fort out of blankets in the living room, just because. She wrote about the way he always made her laugh, even when she was trying to be serious. Each sentence was a key, unlocking a door to a memory he had kept closed for too long, afraid of the pain that came with it. But now, reading her words, the pain was mingled with a sweet, nostalgic warmth. He paused after each paragraph, needing to close his eyes and breathe. The emotions were overwhelming: love, grief, gratitude. He felt the sting of loss more acutely than he had in years, but it was different now. It wasn't the hollow ache of absence, but the rich, full-bodied sorrow of having loved someone so deeply. He ran his thumb over her signature at the bottom of the page, "Forever and always, your Anna." The simple phrase had been their promise to each other, whispered before sleep and written in every card they exchanged. Seeing it there, written in her hand one last time, was both a heartbreaking end and a beautiful reaffirmation. A promise that even death could not break. Anna's letter was not a goodbye, it was a roadmap. After reminiscing about their shared past, her tone shifted. It became the voice of the practical, forward-thinking woman he had always admired. "My love," she wrote, "I know you. I know you've probably locked yourself away in our beautiful house, keeping my memory alive like a flame in a jar. But a flame in a jar doesn't give warmth to anyone, Jake. It just consumes the air until it goes out. I don't want my memory to be a jar. I want it to be a bonfire that warms you as you continue your journey." The metaphor was so perfectly her, so simple and yet so profound. She gave him instructions, not as commands, but as gentle suggestions from a heart that knew his better than he knew it himself. "Go to Italy," one line read. "Remember that trip we always planned but never took? Go for me, go for us. Eat gelato in Florence, get lost in the canals of Venice. Stand in the middle of the Colosseum and feel how life goes on. I want you to see the world we dreamed of seeing together. Don't see it with sadness that I'm not there. See it with the joy that a part of me is seeing it through your eyes." The letter also held advice for his daily life, small things that she knew he would neglect. "Please plant new flowers in the garden this spring. Our peonies are probably tired. Plant something new, something bright and bold. And Jake, for heaven's sake, use the good china. Don't save it for a special occasion that never comes. Every day you are alive is a special occasion." But the most powerful part of the letter was its conclusion. "Don't spend the rest of your days looking back at our life together," she wrote. "Think of it as the foundation of your house. It's strong and it's beautiful, but you're meant to build more rooms on top of it. My love for you is not a cage, my darling. It's a pair of wings. Please, for me, learn how to use them. Learn." When Jake finally put the letter down, the afternoon sun was casting long shadows across the room. The house was still quiet, but it was a different kind of silence. It was no longer the oppressive silence of emptiness, but the peaceful silence of contemplation. For the first time in a decade, the future did not seem like a vast, gray wasteland. It felt like an unwritten page, a blank canvas. The very next day, things began to change. He woke up not with the familiar pang of loss, but with Anna's words echoing in his mind. "Every day you are alive is a special occasion." He went to the kitchen, opened the cabinet, and took down one of the fine china plates they had received as a wedding gift. He made himself scrambled eggs and toast, and ate them off the delicate gold-rimmed plate. It felt strange, almost rebellious, but it also felt right. He was following her map. In the weeks that followed, Jake became a man in motion. He pulled out the weeds in the garden, planted bright yellow daffodils, planted deep purple irises. He invited his friends over for dinner, served them on the good china, sharing stories about Anna that made them all laugh instead of cry. He was no longer just the keeper of their story, he was its storyteller, sharing its light with others. He was living, truly living, for the first time in 10 years. Jake's journey was far from over, but he was no longer anchored in the harbor of his sorrow. He was a ship with its sails unfurled. Guided by the stars of his memory, and propelled by the enduring power of his wife's love. Anna's final letter had been her greatest gift. It taught him that love doesn't end when a life does. It changes form, becoming a source of guidance, courage, and inspiration. As he prepared for his trip to Italy, he knew he wouldn't be traveling alone. He was carrying her with him, not as a memory of what was lost, but as a vibrant, living part of who he had become. He was living enough for the both of them.